Good morning, Kub Day. Good morning, Tel
Hello,
Aviv.
Tel Aviv!
So, before we begin our session today, when I heard that Kub Day is coming to Israel, I realized that it is exactly on the day of my son's birthday, which is here with us today in the front row, and he doesn't know English. And I would like to say happy birthday. Will you join me? All right, are you ready? 1, 2. Mazal Tov, Rafael!
Mazal Tov.
All right.
Okay.
Mazal Tov. So, now that we're done with the important part, and the less important people are here on stage, so I'm here, I'm Arthur Berezin, I'm the founder of a company called Stage Central. We are focusing on Backstage. And today we have Anton Weiss with me, my partner in crime. So,
Yeah, I'm Anton Weiss. I'm the CTO at Stage Central, and I like to call myself a software delivery futurist. And I love open source. Do you love open source? If you love open source, say aye!
Aye.
Great, a lot of open source lovers here. And we're here to talk about an especially exciting open source project, and that is Backstage. Who here has heard about
Right.
Backstage?
Have you heard
Any
about
hands?
Backstage?
Okay, some hands, that's good.
If you haven't heard about Backstage, you definitely will look into it after today's session. So, Backstage was contributed by Spotify to the CNCF about a year ago and became super popular project with more than 1,000 enterprise adopters and more than gazillion stargazers on GitHub. So, definitely highly popular project. So, what is this thing called Backstage? What does it do? What is it, Anton?
That's easy, Arthur. Backstage is an IDP. IDP.
So, IDP, you mean like an identity provider, like a Keycloak? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, I understand the confusion. No, IDP actually stands for, well, some folks say it stands for Internal Developer Portal. But other folks say it's an internal developer platform, and it's platform all right, but I actually like to say it's an internal delivery platform because it's not for, it's not only about developers, it's also for the ops and the testers. Actually, all players of the software delivery game, they can all enjoy this thing.
So you say this platform word quite a lot. Does it have anything to do with this whole platform engineering trend I've been hearing so much lately?
Yeah. Well, let's dig deeper into that. So, coming back to myself, there's a growing understanding in our industry that in order to achieve that effective collaboration, that speed of delivery that the DevOps approach was preaching, right? We need to take all of the complexity, all of the services and functions and APIs and Terraform scripts and Helm charts and CI/CD pipelines, logs, metrics, you name it. We need to take all of that and somehow build all that into an internal delivery platform that will allow us to have that effective collaboration, that speed that we so much need. And that's basically brings us the discipline of platform engineering.
Awesome. So I will definitely would love to unify all of my systems into one coherent platform. So what do I need to build in order to get started?
Well, in order to have platform engineering today, first of all, you need to have a software catalog. So basically, the database that enlists all of your assets and all of your teams and users and services and tools and connects all of them together. Then, on top of that, in order to abstract away the complexity, you need some self-service workflows and templates that allow us to do things in a cost-effective way, to do things fast, to provision new things, to create new things easily. And then we, of course, need to be able to integrate with all of the existing tooling we already have and with all of the tooling that we're going to add in the future because the stack continues evolving.
Awesome. So like a service catalog, like self-service workflow or templates, integrations to all of my systems.
Yep.
But cool, but what does it have to do with Backstage though?
Well, the good thing is if you want all this, you don't have to start from scratch. There is a great open source, and that's exactly Backstage, and it has these things baked in. So it already brings to the table the software catalog data model, and the basement for building the self-service workflows and templates. And it has the integrations. The community has already created close to 100 plugins to all kinds of use cases. And it also had documentation as code as a pattern built in. And on top of all that, we have the presentation layer, a highly customizable UI that you can adapt to your needs. So yeah.
Awesome. So just go to this nice little website, backstage.io, download the tool, populate a few items in the service catalog, create a few workflows, and I'm a platform engineer. All right.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, too easy, right? We've been in this industry for too long to stop believing in magic, sadly. And sounds too good to be true.
Yeah.
And that brings us to
the pitfalls. All right. So we've been talking to dozens of Backstage users and working with few customers implementing Backstage, and we've realized that there are 4 common things that you would need to plan for in order to implement a Backstage project. So, Anton, the first one, you want it, you build it.
Exactly. So the thing is, Backstage was built at Spotify by developers, for developers. That is to say, it wasn't built with the ops mindset. So basically, even though the website says that it's a platform for building IDPs, the fact is it's basically a framework that allows you to scaffold a React.js application with some Node.js backend. And to do anything useful with it, you need to start editing TypeScript, right? Now, folks who eventually find themselves having to build, manage, and evolve this thing, they're platform engineers. In most cases, these are your rebranded DevOps folks. Any DevOps folks here in the crowd?
I'm a DevOps person.
Right, DevOps, platform, whatever. What are your tools of choice, usually? So probably, Python, right? Maybe some Go, but most of all, YAML, right? Loads of YAML. We're all YAML engineers today. So writing TypeScript in order to manage things is not something we're used to do. It's definitely a skill set that most platform engineering teams don't have. What we see most organizations we talk to having to do is standing up a whole new development team in order to build Backstage and continue evolving it.
All right, and that brings us to the second pitfall. So production, you build it, you own it. And as Ant mentioned, Backstage is essentially a development framework, right? Which means you get to create your own version of an IDP based on the Backstage framework, right? And you need to ensure that it's ready for your production according to your production standards. So everything that you would think of in production environment, you need to take care of it. So you need to create Docker files if you run it in containerized environment. Do you have a single Docker image? Do you have multiple Docker images?
I don't know.
You have to plan for it. Do you want to maybe split that into multiple versions or multiple parts? Once you have that, you need to think about running it in Kubernetes, right? Production. Kubernetes is obviously the place to go.
Where else? Kubernetes, of course.
That's right, yeah. So do you create Helm charts? Do you use Customize? Maybe you integrate Argo CD to deliver the builds? And when you onboard it in Kubernetes, create your own YAML files, if that's your choice, you also need to take care of availability, resilience, and scale in order to serve all the developers' demand of the tool. Right?
So are you saying none of that is included?
Nope, no batteries are included. Then you need to take care of that.
We bought a car, we got the engine, and now we need to bring our own wheels.
Exactly right.
Okay, that's a fun ride. So next up, plugins. So as we already said, a great IDP has to have integrations. It's one of the core functionalities that we expect from it. And Backstage is highly extensible in that respect, bringing the concept of plugins to the table. And as I said, the community has already created close to 100 plugins for all kinds of toolings and use cases. But when we look deeper into that, we'll realize that in order to add a plugin or configure a plugin, you need to, again, edit TypeScript. You need to edit the code, you need to rebuild the application, and then redeploy the whole thing, and then pray for everything to continue working, right? So what we see teams are doing, they need to stand up a staging environment in order to add each plugin. And not even just to add a plugin, also to configure a plugin, they need to rebuild the code, redeploy it, and pray that it doesn't screw up the whole thing.
And that brings us to the last point, which is adoption, adoption, adoption. The fact that you deployed the tool, created a service catalog, created a self-service templates, that's awesome. It doesn't necessarily mean that developers are going to use the tool. So ensure that you collect all the usage metrics, ensure that you measure the engagements of the developers around the tool to ensure that it actually fits their needs and works through their common workflows and integrated with the communication tools that are already in place.
Yeah, and you need to bring the data in. Actually, some of the teams we've been talking to, they spend like a whole year to stand up an IDP, to solve all the technical problems, and then they find themselves struggling with bringing in the developers. And you know, an internal developer platform is actually no good if there are no developers in it, right?
That's right. And forcing your developers using the tool definitely does not work.
Yeah, and developers are stubborn.
They're busy doing the hard work.
Yeah, so to sum it all up, platform engineering is the way to manage a software organization. Definitely, platform engineering is the way we do DevOps today. In order to have platform engineering, you need to have an IDP. If you want to build an IDP, definitely start with open source, start with a CNCF project. That's Backstage. And if you want to build on Backstage, watch out for the pitfalls.
Which are, make sure that you are ready for a development project, because once you onboard Backstage, that's what it means. Make sure that you're ready to run it in production environment. That's number 2. Make sure that, what's the third one?
The third one is that plugins aren't really plugins.
That's right. And the last one?
And the last one, adoption. Definitely think about adoption before you even start building. Think about the way your organization works and how you're going to bring everyone on board.
All right.
And with that, actually, well, if you want to learn more,
talk to us.
Talk to us. And some folks have already told us that they like this T-shirt. So for a chance to win one, scan the QR code. We'll be happy.
All right. Thank you, Kubday, and enjoy the rest of the day.